by the way.
Hey, welcome back, Beginner Go.
Thanks.
Join the review, Gooplet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the review. I see. Thank you. Okay.
So, you guys are playing Mirgo. That's exciting.
I'm not doing that.
You're not doing that. It takes two to play
Black
Mirgo.
doesn't have a choice in it.
Sure, Black just plays
Oh,
here.
okay, that's true. That's true. No, I should have done that for the memes.
But it didn't last very long, so everything up to here is reasonable.
See, I was hoping Beginner Go would just play Tengen. That's why I did this.
I should have. Next game.
A famous game, I think I mentioned it in Gooplet's stream, where Gotengan and Katani Minaro play 63 moves of Mirgo.
Wow.
Before it breaks. So it's legitimate. You can do that. It's fine. This makes sense because the Kosumi is strong, right?
I can also Tanuki there, right? But it felt right to respond to me. I don't know.
You can, but I would say it's more likely that White could Tanuki from this position.
Oh, okay.
Because these stones are a little easier for White to mess with, meaning, if White does this and Black does something else, actually, let's say that there's a pincer. White can always do things like this, right? And you can get into weird stuff down here. Whereas if Black Tanukis, you can do this, but it feels like more of a loss. Because this is the same thing that White tried down here. If you do that as Black, let's say White goes for a bigger pincer. This feels really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you see it down here, the Hane, when White does this, there's an Atari here.
Yes.
But that's not an Atari up here.
Right.
So this is just miserable, right? Whereas down here, sorry, that's a mistake. White can break through. So that's the main difference. But I guess, yeah, sure. In the opening, you can Tanuki as much as you want, really, as long as you're playing big points.
Sure.
So you both extend from the shape. Black plays here, and White mirrors it again. Black takes an extension, and this is probably the first move that I would wonder about.
Yeah, at this point, I couldn't decide what to do.
So why high approach? Like this, or this, or this are all moves that would.
Wait, what was that last one that you showed?
P18.
The corner's still open.
Oh, okay.
And for some reason, Gooplet, I've noticed when you are playing well, you take corners, and when you are losing games, you often give up all the corners. So, try to get at least 2 in your games. They're important.
I wasn't specifically not trying to get corners. I just sometimes don't know how to get corners.
Yeah. Well, in this game, it doesn't happen yet, right? Because it looks like you both have 2 corners. But then when Black approaches your corners, you just sort of let Black take them. So we'll get to those.
Yeah, that's another thing. When people approach my corners, they always end up getting taken. I'm not specifically trying to give up my corners. It just seems like it just happens. And
actually, the game is still very close, even after the move in the game. It's not a big thing. It's just now you're playing for influence, right? This stone actually has a good outlook on the board, but
which voice do you know, Guy?
You're not getting in here anymore.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm
waiting for someone.
P17 to be honest. Yeah. I mean P18. I forget that move exists. I've only played that move twice maybe.
I don't think I've ever played that. No.
I've seen you play it a couple times. So the main thing is, if Black comes on top, you can do this or this. If this happens, we can get into this variation, or there's a lot of things that can happen. The strongest response is to just play here, and then you're making a base. You are giving solid points, right? White's gonna retreat from here somewhere on the left, but in the game, White had a stone here and Black had a stone here, And there, like, if you had played here and black had passed at this point, the game would look pretty fair because the potential to build is similar, right? You've got potential up here, and like later in the game, because there's no white stone.
What's up, man machine?
Here, you didn't really have, like, you came to the right conclusion. You had to go for the center because you'd never played this, so there was no way to build.
Oh, okay, yeah, you might know him from Go Congress. That's cool.
When you back off to here, I guess that's fine. I think it's still pretty balanced. They're little things. So black plays here. It's still pretty close.
I guess. Sorry, I'm still looking at that 016 move. Like, that's one of those things where I had no idea what black was going to do to follow it up. Like, I guess I kind of was expecting 017 actually.
Is this what you were hoping?
No, honestly, I was hoping for 017, and then I play at N17 and just like take the outside and try to build a huge side.
This is so much worse than the game, though.
Really? Okay. That's what.
Like, so if black does that, I guess it's not that much worse. But like when you connect here, that corner is so solid, and now it's black to play, and black just erases your top.
Yeah.
So
I'm waiting for someone to recognize my voice. I had a brief stint of internet fame like a year ago.
The game is, I want to stress,
so far,
it's still very
no one has
close.
recognized.
And this move's a little ambitious, but
it wasn't about Go.
Unreasonable. So usually you would not extend that far because you're leaving the clear invasion. I think that is probably the best thing to do, is just go straight for it. You know, you can try fancy stuff in the corner first, but this is a real headache for white to deal with.
Yes.
I imagine AI says just keep your corner.
Didn't even consider that.
Your move is probably the most aggressive thing you could do. Another thing is lean on the strong side. You can try a move like this.
What does that look like in a follow-up?
So if black hanes, you back off, and now black has an issue. Does black defend here or deal with the stone on the left? And if black now...
Why does black have to defend?
Well, so like if black goes into the corner now, you just live on the side. Right? This is... I mean, it's a mess, but you have plenty of strength to, for example, threaten to capture that stone, and if black saves it, you can do this. And it's a mess, but there's stuff that can happen.
Interesting.
If black does this, you just capture the stone.
And
if black goes this way, there's a double Atari, and you're winning the fight here. So
if we find time, I'm also interested in D3 locally, but I just didn't know what to do with it. I had considered that move. It seemed good, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Yes, let's look at that. So when white... What did white do? White did the most severe thing, which is the Kosumi. Yeah, I actually thought your response was fine. So this is going to lead to white keeping the corner, right? You probably play this. It's the most natural move. And then white should either play here, here, or just here. So we actually looked at this in a game maybe yesterday. When white already has stones like this on this side, you don't really want to play the normal variation because black won't cooperate, right? In the normal variation, if the stones aren't there, you're like, all right, I'm going to connect and black's going to connect here.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
But black won't. Black will just take here and let white cut through, and then black took the corner, and you've got a strong wall, and these stones are way too close to it. You want those stones over here as white.
Yeah, this was the same idea I had with C3. I was like, let's see if we can over-concentrate white in that area. That was the hope.
Exactly. So that is definitely one way to play. But going into the corner I thought was fine. I really think this is probably the easiest move here. Corners are important. So you must expect, Gooplet, that the corner is what this is about, right? If you play the Kosumi?
No.
Okay. Now you know. When you
Yeah.
have a stone that's approaching and you pincer it or attack it, they're going to go in the corner.
Yeah.
But what you played was actually fine up until there was one move that's sort of suspect. Because white is gaining stuff here.
Right.
But you can be a lot more efficient. So let's see, we get to here. There's a couple of moves you should consider here. I think you played this on instinct.
Mm-hmm.
But you have, normally in this shape, you don't have two stones here.
Well, I tried reading out what would happen if I didn't play that, and it looked like black would still succeed in capturing the E2 stone.
Yeah, but you can protect the E2 stone in a much more efficient way. A way that actually saves you trouble later and makes points. There's two moves that come to mind for me. You can play here, or even better, you can play here.
Ooh, that does look nice.
That is nice, yeah.
This cut does nothing now. And if black wants to connect under, you make black pay for it. Like, black can't do that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Later, by doing this, black's just fixing your shape. So having this shape is so much better than having this hole in your shape.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Hey,
So
Trabuck,
that was the
I worked
first
in
move the
at
sequence that
NASA
was
Marshall for a
suspect,
while.
But it's still pretty close.
I'm not
I don't
currently
see
there. I
that this
work up
game
in
is
New
out of
Mexico these
control
days.
yet. So normally when black does this,
Are you over at
you
Marshall?
just block,
Or in Huntsville?
and black owes another move, and that's fine. So black will play here. But what you did is sort of more exciting, and we got to here. Black should probably cut immediately,
Yeah, I was worried about that.
so that if there is a ko,
That's
in the
interesting.
corner, black
Have
will
we
have
played
ko
against
threats
each other?
locally.
I've
'Cause on this board,
I
there's
did
no
play at
ko
the
threat
Huntsville Go
big
Club
enough.
for a while, but there are a
So,
few
like,
Go
black
players in
played
Huntsville.
here. You can start a ko like this, and if
Maybe you played against
if
Adam?
both players play reasonably, it's not a particularly easy ko for white. So black will respond like this, and white will play here. Black will play here, white will play here, and now you can see the problem. If black connects, here's the ko, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's tricky, and you probably don't start it right away. But black should cut. Black should cut immediately anyway in this shape.
Probably Adam.
Especially because this stone is not here or here. So
My hair is
there
kind of
isn't,
red.
like-
Adam has real red hair.
there isn't a really good way for white to handle this. If white
That's
comes
awesome, though,
here,
that,
we
that
still
we're
have
like
this
so
problem,
close.
right? So now you're getting squeezed, and if you play underneath, I don't know. This looks scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And see, even if that doesn't happen now, it could happen later. So I think black should just cut. So this is a sort of buildy move. Fine. This actually leads to a ko. I think it's a worse ko for white, but I've never really read it all the way through. So what you played in the game is correct up to here.
Yeah.
And then if you do it this way, what I'm seeing is if black does this, you just connect and it's dead. And so black has to take, and then
Glad
later
you saw it.
will
Thanks.
be a ko.
Later?
Well, I don't see you fighting this ko right now, because you're not threatening to capture, right?
Right.
So if you make a ko threat, black responds, and you play here, black will ignore you probably. Or maybe cut here, and then you have to play another move to make it a ko.
Right.
To capture. It's a step ko. So you can leave it at this shape.
Well, but
right here.
Right.
So black will play here, and then you just leave it.
but like
there's only
A2 threatens
threat.
to kill, right?
What's up?
If white gets A2, that threatens to kill, right?
A2 doesn't work because of B1.
Oh, right. I would just kill and then I have Miai. Okay,
Yeah,
just kidding.
and then
Just kidding.
you have a
That's,
Miai.
I read that in game. I didn't read it during the review. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why.
So-
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, B1 looks like a real ko, And
Do
then
that.
the Oshitsubishi at C1, and I was like, ah, sad.
There's a Seki later if you make a mistake, but Seki isn't good enough for white because we gave up the corner. So yeah, so it's probably fine to just leave it like this, and there's a threat of a ko later. But that's kind of the meaning of this too. You see this played often, and then the shape is left like this. And then later, like if white gets in a fight, or like white sets up a situation where you say, okay, if I want my corner back, I can start here and make this ko. So
Interesting.
it's
Okay.
complicated, but does that make sense more or less?
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Like I'm still kind of new to Ko's. Like I just started not avoiding Ko's this summer, and I still avoid Ko's normally.
Not avoiding kos, yeah.
Yeah, you know. So the idea of like how to use a ko or when it's appropriate to like play a ko is still like crazy to me. I'm still wrapping my small
What's up?
brain around it.
36251.
I think ko is the most beautiful thing in Go, but that's just me.
It wasn't. I just said that I'm trying to wrap my small brain around it.
Often the threat of a ko or the potential of a ko happening is worse than a ko, so, for the person that it can happen to. So. Okay, so we get to here, and it's white to play. That's a really good move. It's probably too small right now, but shape-wise, it's really good. I'm going to just edit something real quick. I'm going to move this stone to here. And now you could play even here.
It's really nice.
Or here, at least. And you're just making more points. And see, you're not really worried about the cut as much. Because of this, right? So like the worst thing that can happen is this, but you're going to be connected. Whereas when you have that nasty hole in your shape, this is a really good move, but it's giving the initiative to black, and we can already see, you know, we got this territory, we've got this, we've got this.
I was pretty upset with that situation, just like not having Sente and having to defend the cut. I didn't even think of just extending on the left side.
Well, you can. I think this is fine. That's a little much, but this is fine.
Yeah.
Black probably shouldn't cut immediately here, because this would give white a lot of chances to start a fight and get back in the game. You can even just exchange, make sure you have the corner, and then jump and try and chase black out into the center. But regardless, shape-wise, this is a great move. And for any beginners watching, the reason this move is better than, for example, this leaves a peep, right? And then you have to connect. Same is true if you do it, whoops, this way. You can get peeped and you have to connect. Or if you just connect solidly, it's just not as, your stone hasn't gotten as far out into the center of the board, it's slower. But why does this work? Let's look at it. If you cut, this is a very short ladder to a very quick death, right? So, and it works going this way as well. So black can't even play a single ladder breaker, because you can ladder it in two directions. So it's just a really efficient way to defend that cutting point. And then black played sort of where white would have wanted to play, and this game looks tough.
See, I didn't know that I would have wanted to play there.
That felt slow to me, but it felt like I was ahead enough that I should just play solid. I don't know.
I literally said that after you played it. I was like, that seems slow to me, but now that I'm looking at it again and I'm realizing how that could have been a much more efficient move for me than the E7 move.
Black's pretty far ahead, and to be honest, black can just play here and kind of be happy. Or play this, which that's the problem with this shape. It's not really doing anything because you now owe another move just to make sure black doesn't come out here. And when you play another move, like, unless you're planning to be Takamiya and build like that many points, I don't think this shape is working for white. So. But yeah, I think you are ahead at least 15 or so points And so a slow move is fine. Now, this means there's really no way to attack black, right? Because sometimes if black plays and white approaches here, it can be uncomfortable. Like, you're probably going to live, but you might get squeezed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Yep.
So black plays here, and then this was really good style. I like this a lot from white. Up to here.
Thanks.
This looked like a professional game. Except you don't play again. Or if you do, you play probably here. And you sort of ask black, are you willing to push again? And then you're basically saying, all of these stones are going to help me in the center, and I wasn't going to invade you anyway, so I'm fine giving you these points. But the problem with just connecting, like, yes, you're looking after your cutting points, but this is still too open to count as territory. So you don't want to sort of defend your cuts solidly until you're ready to seal off the territory. So you could even turn to a move like this at this point. This is probably bigger. If black cuts you, you're fine. You're just like, oh, thanks for helping me strengthen my shape. That was nice of you. So, so this was a bit slow. And then black comes in because you got to reduce the top. Makes sense.
Any thoughts on the invasion point? Is that a reasonable place to hop in?
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. I might play on the fourth line just because the only way white wins this game is if you die.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I might just play the shoulder hit, or even you can think of this move. This is kind of a cool move. Sort of asking, like, if white defends, you can do things like this, and if white, I don't know, comes out like this attachment is really annoying because it's looking to Hane underneath, and like, if white's doing this kind of thing, you're just erasing the whole top. So but a move like this is much safer. It's not as effective, right? Because white can just take the points. But if you just estimate the score here, like, white's got some points here, and white's going to make a little bit here, and maybe a few points here, but black's got so much more. If you just count the game, black has settled territory probably 20 points more than white here. So I don't think it was a bad invasion point, but it was a little dangerous. There's a lot of space there, though. I would not be worried.
It worked.
It did work. Although there was one moment where I think white could have turned the game around. I'll show you what I mean. And I think beginner go, that's probably a skill that comes with time, but it's just about estimating where you are in the game. I thought when you played C9, you were doing a really good job of saying I'm ahead. But the same attitude would be true with J17. You can play a little more. I mean, black will still probably win this game, even if you just play like this or like this, right? Like, this might be enough, but because it's open on this side and this side, I don't see it being enough to compensate for the black points.
Yeah, in my mind, I just saw, like, this is white's win condition. This is the, like, if white can come back in this game, it's by getting a huge territory in the center. So if I can just make something live over there, then it's, it's fine.
No, I get it.
But that was too aggressive. I should have.
To make that potential territory bigger is to put a big dead group in.
Yes, you're right.
That's why you play a little more conservatively.
Yes.
But again, it's a good invasion. Like, if it was an even game, that's a good place to start. This was nice. This was okay. This was nice. This is where I think white needs to just be happy to take 2 invading stones and a big bunch of territory. That looks pretty good for white. And it's not very efficient for black to capture 1 stone. Like, these are not in danger, and it would be white to play, and now, whoops, misclick. Now white, can't. Now white goes into the 1 remaining corner, and now it's closer. It's, I don't know, 15 points or 10-point game instead of 20, 25-point game. So if you play a really solid end game, it's doable. So after white chose to kill everything, I mean, maybe if black messes up, but I don't see
How
a
to
way.
play on facts.
Yeah, learned some habits, some of them good. This got really tough really fast. And actually, I think you both played the fight well. I just didn't think there was a lot that could be done here.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would say is white probably shouldn't do this. This is like crazy aggressive.
Yeah.
I think white needs to sort of rely on the co, but also threaten to live in the corner by playing something like this or like this.
I was thinking about B16 for a long time.
Yeah. Either one of these at least make it interesting, because like this feels horrible for black. So black will probably run, and now you have something to chase, and while you chase it, you can, like if black runs, now we can start playing the same sorts of moves over here.
I like that thought. Like, now you have something to chase. Like, you're a dog, you know? Like, I'm just sitting here waiting for something to chase, so now I have it.
Yeah, and so when you're chasing whatever it is, dogs or people, chase them across the whole board. Don't send them into the corner where
Munin?
corners are kryptonite. Good play.
Yeah, Munin in chat asks a really good question. Why is H12 considered aggressive?
H12 is basically saying, I'm going to kill this group.
Yeah.
Because it shuts the door. There's no longer a way to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put a dog or a human in a room with no food, or in a corner, in this case, they'll fight you. And the only way for black to now live is to kill these stones. So it's setting up a do or die situation. The problem is black found this move, which is really sharp. It means it doesn't really matter. So like if white takes the ko now, maybe that's the only chance. But this just looks fine for black, right?
Yeah.
So white did the only thing that white could do, but now there's this squeeze, and once white connects, like if we reverse the order of moves here and we say, let's say,
for the beginners out there, this is a common
here,
type of analysis.
Black
You
was worried
change the
and
order
played
to see
here,
if it still makes sense.
and here, and here. And now black does something. Would white ever do this now?
I mean, it still surrounds the group. That was kind of my thought.
It does, and it builds some potential. But unless you're going to kill that group, I don't think it's a particularly good move.
It's not always a good form of analysis. It's just another perspective.
Nice, it has a good relationship to these stones, right?
I complimented my shape.
You can't really break through it, but it wouldn't be making enough points to be effective. So once we get to the here, not really sure why beginner go didn't just connect. What was your thought about this?
To me, I was like, I considered that, and I was like, I think B18 is just the simple. I thought like if white did B18 later, it would be co-threats, and
but it's 4 liberties to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I know. I'm just imagining like later in the game, as the G18 area starts getting filled in and we start settling territory, then I feel like I have to worry about C18 later, but maybe not.
You mean the G18 that you can play on your next move?
Oh, would I play it on my next move? I don't know. Okay.
You sure could if you were scared.
Especially since you're this far ahead.
But it does mean, though, I don't think white should do this immediately.
Yeah.
You should.
Again, I was flailing.
That is so it's a good shape, actually. Again, it's like the right idea because you're forcing. So yeah, this got out of control with the getting forced to fill in here. So you'd probably do this, but regardless, it's the right idea. But if you save it for later, like what if a fight breaks out in this area? And you get to make a sente move like this, and then black is like, I really want to do something, but I need to play here first, and then you go, haha, right? Now you don't have enough liberties. So
That is
I did.
absolutely something I would fall for too.
Well, maybe. I mean, at this point, you're looking for tricks and traps because you're sort of out of options to just win. So I would just play here and leave it for maybe a trick you can play later. But in the game, we get to here, and this is kind of odd shape. Although this was probably wrong for black. I think you are fine to just play here.
Yeah, I was surprised at that.
What were you thinking here, Beginner Joe?
I just thought that if I thought white wouldn't be able to disconnect me, and I just figure if I can find any way to weasel into like the M13 area, then it's fine. I just won. But here, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. But this has a large effect. Not so much. So, like, if you're worried about this, don't be. Because even at this point, your corner, like, white's going to have to play some ugly-looking moves to do any damage to the corner. And pretty quick, white's going to come under severe attack on this side of the wall that you're building. Right? This just radiates death towards these two stones. So I think this is probably the right move. But what you played was interesting because you were right about the ladder. After black plays the move on top, this is just, and you're both obviously reading that. You can't do it. But I think white can play here and force you to connect, and now white gets Sente and has a shape.
Yeah,
right?
I was looking at that, and that, like, in game for sure, like white ended up making a nice little profit in that side. I just felt like it was fine, if I wasn't worrying about optimizing at that point. I was just trying to take away the win,
Cute little territory you've got there.
Yeah.
You have that.
Well, but do you see the difference?
Yes, absolutely. You're right.
Well, for you, but also for Duplet. So if you play here first, then it's your Sente, and you get this, right? Because this is a double Atari, and this cut isn't really going anywhere. So you're just sort of one move ahead if you play it here, because in the game, you played here, and then when black connected, you realized, I really can't give black this, because that undercuts anything I would try to build, and it's just, this is great for black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great shape. So then you were like, okay, I got to play the right move. And this is really good for white, but it's too small at this point in the game. So you could be a little more efficient like that, and then you would get the last big point on the board. But at that stage, it's probably fine to resign, although I think black should have resigned because the old proverb is...
I was talking to my chat. I was like, if anyone's in Gooplet's chat, can you tell me, is she like seriously considering resigning right now? Because I would have loved to resign at that point just for the memes, but I didn't want to be like, if it would feel really rude to me to be like, listen, this game's over, so I'm gonna end it here. I don't, I mean, I felt like I was far enough ahead, but I didn't want to make that decision for you.
Oh wait, y'all, this guy is typing here. I don't know if y'all can see it.
It's the proverb, and it's actually true, but it relates to when you play teaching Go or handicap Go.
Yeah.
So it means when you have the white player significantly stronger than the black player, it's a good proverb, because if white takes all four corners, white probably did so in a way that black isn't making enough in the center. Whereas if black took all four corners against a stronger player, there's probably a giant Moyo somewhere that's going to win the game. So in a game like this, it actually doesn't make sense, but out of respect for the proverb.
Right. Yeah,
this
you're right.
was the resign. It was a fun one. Both of you. I enjoyed watching.
No. So anyway, we are 2-0 now, or 0-2, depending on how do these counts work? Well, if we do alphabetical order, beginner Go, Gooplet, so then 2-0, right? I don't know. How do you order that?
Yeah. But I think it depends on their perspective. I think you would say 0-2, and I would say 2-0. But,
Okay.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I am 0-2 with Beaner Go. That makes sense.
To be fair, if we trust our ranks on OGS, which I'm not sure how much we should, I should be winning these, right? 8K versus 10K. But
That's true. But I did beat you 3 times on 9x9.
you did. I'm 0-3 against you on 9x9. Maybe next
and
time.
My sobriety tied behind my back at the time too. So
next time we should just do 4 9x9s. That's still the same amount of territory overall, So.
Based on watching and on the report that Gooplet wins in 9x9, it matches what I think, which is Beginner Go is better at positional judgment, finding the next big place to play. And
listen here, you little shit,
but
Alex Frog.
Gooplet is very sharp at reading and finds shape moves that are good in reading positions.
Sorry, Frank. I'm sorry. I
local
tried.
Positions and reads out sequences. The problem is
it worked in this game.
yeah, when you give away all the big points in the opening, you're just struggling from behind. So
yeah,
nice.
I think that's the thing to focus on. And I'm not sure Beginner Go I'd be happy to look at another of your games. Your opening is very strong. You play all the right moves in the opening, and then I think you're a little submissive when the fighting starts. But
yeah,
again, that's based on just a few games that I've watched.
I've just been hurt so many times before.
Yeah, I have a book that talks about that. Like, it's analyzing handicap games where the stronger player gives his students commentary like, when you back off like this, it's just because I've beat you with this move before. You have to learn to resist. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks.
I need to train really hard this week in preparation for our following, for our game next week, or whenever we have our next game.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
I'm enjoying this little series right now, and of course the commentary afterwards from stronger players is awesome. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Guy, for providing commentary.
Yeah, thank you, Guy.
And for doing it in a kind way. Dwarren was like, literally any stones around here should live. And I was like, what the fuck?
I always try to be positive.